Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Dragonmaster X, also known as Robert. This is Brometheus Gaming. This is the first episode. I'd like to introduce my co-host and brother, Nicholas.
Also known as Nick or Arbeyem or Arb for short.
So we've been thinking about doing this podcast for a while now. It's just been something that's been brewing in the back of both of our minds, I'm sure I could say. So let's just get straight to the introductions and personal background in gaming. We've both been gaming as long as we can remember. I know Nick. I mean,
Seriously.
Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo from basically the time that we could remember.
My first memory is actually of us playing Super Mario World in our grandparents' house in that back room.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can actually, just because I'm about a year and a half older, I can actually take it a step further back. I actually remember the house our parents had in Georgia, where we used to play Super Nintendo in that living room.
With that Wilson kid.
Yep.
Dude,
So,
that was older, yeah. You're absolutely right.
yep. I was at oldest probably 4 then,
Playing Super
and
Mario Brothers 3? No, you don't.
Super Mario
No.
World.
World?
It was Super
Okay.
Mario
Okay.
World, Super Nintendo.
Right.
I know Dad had a Nintendo because our mom recently told me last time I was back home playing Nintendo that she recognized the Zelda music, so that was actually pretty cool. But we had the Super Nintendo. We were young. We had Super Mario World. That's my first gaming memory. Also, I remember Sonic the Hedgehog on the Genesis. I remember more specifically even you playing that, and our dad being amazed that you were able to get through the levels. But let's be honest, if you press right and press one of the buttons, it's going to happen eventually. But we're not trash talking Sonic here. We love Sonic. Um, I remember we played it so much, Super Mario World. I remember completing or beating Bowser when I was 4 years old. People don't believe that sometimes. They're like, "Oh, how could you beat Super Mario World when you were that young?" Um, my answer would be just the amount of time we put into it. You know, and of course, we didn't, complete every single level, but I think we're both, not to toot our own horns, Mario masters.
Of course. I don't even think we discovered Star World until years later. Like, we actually went through it legit.
Um, I I'm sure I actually almost am 90% certain I remember getting to Star World when we were really young, but obviously, what's it's the second or third stage, the tubular one,
No,
I
no,
believe.
that's after
That,
Star
that,
World. That's if you beat all of Star World and go
oh,
into the
okay. Well,
middle.
we're talking about the special world now.
Right.
I actually remember the special world, but we couldn't get past the one with the P blocks or whatever, where you got to float constantly.
Oh, with the balloons. Yeah, that level
Yeah, that
was
was
pretty hard.
we I don't remember beating that as a kid. So if anybody wants to, you know, yeah, we didn't do that.
Yeah, definitely not 100%, but Bowser, yes, it happened.
hmm what would you say was your first memory of like just thinking like this is something with video games? This is something I really enjoy. This is going to be my major hobby. You know, do you recall a first time that just really clicked in your head?
I remember being around 12 when
hmm
we had that POS Windows 98 machine in the corner of Mom's house,
hmm
being on there and downloading RPG Maker and just being like,
Yeah.
I want to spend my life with video games. Just, I want to make them, I want to play them, I just want to be engrossed by them.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I do remember you messing around with that quite a bit, back in the day, and actually making some stuff. I have to say for myself, I remember specifically it must have been my 12th birthday, June of 2000. Not to give away our age, but getting the Sega Dreamcast, and I remember getting it. Our mom got it for me for $50 refurbished from GameStop. I got Sonic Adventure and Crazy Taxi because And the only reason I got into the Dreamcast like I did is because the neighbor across the street used to play his all the time. And I'm not sure if it was 2000 or 2001 when it hit this price range, but basically it's because of the PS2, obviously, that the price just plummeted on the Dreamcast. So even as a kid at that age, I was able to get into a lot of games because they were dirt cheap at the time, and it was still basically next-gen technology at the time, which I thought was just one of the greatest things. I've had some of my best personal gaming memories with the Dreamcast.
Oh man, Sonic Adventure 2, one of my top games.
Yeah.
Dumped so many hours into that. I still haven't 100% of that game. I recently picked it up on Steam this year.
What is the special when you get all the emblems? Isn't it a like pseudo 2.5 remake of Green Hill Zone?
Yeah, it's a
Sonic the
3D
Hedgehog
Green
1?
Hill Zone. I mean,
Yeah.
but you have to get.
It is 3D. It's not 2.5D. Just like.
Pretty sure it's full 3D the whole game.
Well, I know the whole game is like that. But
I mean, just like the whole game. But getting all the emblems is absolutely ridiculous. I think you got an S rank every single level.
A lot of Chow stuff too, right?
Dude, don't trash talk the Chows. That was.
I'm not trash talking the Chows. I've personally just never been able.
Dude, they were adorable and all, but it was seriously one of my favorite parts of the game.
Yeah, not knocking it.
Yeah,
trust me.
I mean, hell, that's the reason I got Sonic Advance, because you could actually link cable it up to the GameCube when they did Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
So yeah, we were actually one of the few people to actually utilize that technology, because I remember people thinking that was a joke back in the day, the connectivity between the GameCube and Game Boy Advance.
I wish we'd gotten into Crystal Chronicles back when we had that set up. I remember renting it or something.
Yeah, I know you played it. I mean, we should, next time when we get together, obviously, we'll work on that. Which I guess, as far as introductions go, I guess we should get to another point, is that location. Location as in, you are in Japan right now. Maybe you'd like to give a brief explanation of what led you out there.
Well, personally, I know this goes for both of us. We'd been talking about wanting to go out to Japan for our entire lives. This is the mecca of gaming culture. This is everything where it originated. So, I was out drinking with some coworkers one night I'm a contractor right now. Programming was what I originally got into for. And they mentioned they had a position out in Japan and the guy was potentially coming back in May.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's awesome. If it ever opens up, let me know. Well, I don't want to give away too many details. One thing led to another. He ended up having to come back mid-December. So they're like, hey, do you mind missing Christmas and going out to Japan? I was like, hell yes. No. Of course I'll miss Christmas. Send me out there right now. So they wanted me to give them a guaranteed 3 years out here. I can extend for as long as I want. It's absolutely a dream come true being out here, being in the middle of all these games.
Yeah, which it's going to be interesting. Basically, not to even jump into this topic, but the eventual plan with us is I'm going to come out and live with you in Japan, and we're going to work on basically our YouTube channel. Obviously it's all going to be gaming related. That's what we do best, but, I think this gaming podcast is going to give you a good taste of what's to come, content-wise, from us, two generally intelligent guys. Just a good, solid video game discussion.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. Just two bros talking games, what we want from games, what we expect, what we enjoy, and spreading the knowledge, man.
Yep. All right, so let's segue into our first little segment here. Not to give this we're going with a pretty free flow thing here, but we're going to try and keep it kind of on track. We'll see how it goes from time to time. Let's get into, as far as gaming memories, our personal favorite games. That's always something that comes up as in the gaming community, especially on YouTube. What's your favorite game of all time? So let's go ahead and knock that one out of the way.
All right, you want to
start off with your first?
Let's break it out into a top five. We'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start at the back, work our way up. How's that?
All right, that sounds good.
All right. Now I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I put some series on my list because I didn't want to pick an individual from each one, but as a whole cohesive item.
Okay.
So, number 5 on my list, the Diablo series. Ever since Diablo 1 PC plus Hellfire, when Dad got that for us at far too young of an age, I've been hooked on the series, and now with the recent Loot 2.0 and Diablo 3, I've got my Reaper of Souls Collector's Edition on the way. I've truly enjoyed this dungeon delving RNG based awesomeness.
That's your number 5, correct?
Yes.
All right. I guess I'll talk about my experience with Diablo. I never played it as much as you, but because you did have it loaded on the PC, I definitely dabbled, and from what I dabbled in, I enjoyed. Never came close to completing either one of them, or the first two, excuse me. Obviously, I know there's a third one. But yeah, I enjoyed from what I played. It's definitely something. I'm going through kind of like a trek now where I am in my game collecting journey, and I'm just going back in. I'm replaying everything from childhood I never played. So I'm going back and playing the classics. Diablo is definitely up there on the list for me, the series as a whole. All right, we'll start with my number 5. Let's see, if we're going to do, if I can count a series as a whole for one of my picks, then let me break this down. My number 5? My number 5 of all time, and this is a very modern game, is actually on the PlayStation 3. It's the reason I bought a PlayStation 3. You have any idea what this game is?
Uncharted?
No.
Oh, really?
Close. I love the Uncharted series, but my number 5 game of all time, and this may be a controversial pick, is actually Heavy Rain.
Really?
Heavy Rain is just... I love a good story-driven game, and definitely that game has got some of the best-looking graphics from the previous generation. And I like quick time events. Some people say it's hokey. Some people say it's not a substitute for real gameplay. But just the way it kind of worked all together, the way it all came together for me really worked. And I know that's the same people that are responsible for Indigo Prophecy before and Beyond Two Souls later. I've played Indigo Prophecy, not a fan. And I've yet to play Beyond Two Souls. I will once it gets down in price, but from what I've heard, it hasn't done that well. But Heavy Rain, just something about it, it just all clicked with me. I was enthralled from beginning to end.
I have a feeling I know why you're such a fan of QuickTime events, but I don't want to say it because I know it's definitely further on the list, isn't it?
Don't ruin my list.
All right. Number 4.
Let's go to number 4.
For me, a bit more of a recent thing, much like yours. I've really enjoyed the Dark Souls series at this point. I just got 2 in the mail a couple weeks ago. Already put 40 hours into it. I'll say I beat the first playthrough, but I'm definitely not done with it. I missed a few bosses. There's a dragon that keeps flying up and one-shotting me, so I have to go kick his ass. I'm absolutely enthralled by this series. I'm a huge fan of these dark, gritty RPGs, which you'll see by the rest of my list, but it's an awesome game. They don't hold your hand like everything else does nowadays. They expect you to go out and find your own adventure, you know what I mean? Right.
Let's see. Personally, I just started playing Dark Souls 1. I haven't even touched 2. I haven't played Demon Souls either, but I have Dark Souls 1 on 360. I've only put about 4 hours into it, and yes, it is as hard as everybody has told me it's going to be. I don't mind that. I'm really enjoying what I'm getting out of it so far. It's Can
I say one thing about the difficulty?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's hard, but it's fair. It's always on you that you screwed up.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that's tacked on to add extra game time or anything. It's very balanced. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing right, it's doable. But mess around and just mash buttons and don't pay attention, you're going to get your ass kicked. Yeah,
you're not Dante from Devil May Cry, where you just mash X until everything dies. No offense to Devil May Cry, I quite enjoy the series. But, yeah, if you go around getting cocky, you're going to get roasted.
Alright, so let's move on to my number 4. A game from 2 generations back. The culmination of everything I liked about this series. And people say they didn't like the direction this one started to take the franchise in. And that's Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube. I've always enjoyed survival horror from a really young age. I've beaten all the Resident Evils, so let's just put it there, except for the spin-offs on PS2, like Outbreak and Dead Aim and Gaiden on Game Boy Color. Besides that, I finished every single main Resident Evil.
What about the Wii ones?
The
Umbrella
Wii ones,
Chronicles.
no, those are just shooting games.
Rail
I'm talking
shooters,
about
yeah.
I'm talking about the main storyline,
1 through 6.
0 through 6, if you want to get technical.
And Code Veronica, of course, because
And Code Veronica. Basically, to be frank, any of these games probably could have made my list, but this one just came together so well, and I just got it at an age where I don't know. I must have been 16 years old. It was just the right game for the right time. It's a game that I still go back to at least once a year and do a playthrough. I can breeze through the game like it's nothing now. Fantastic visuals. This was the game I used to always, when I had friends in high school that would talk about PS2 and Xbox and they would trash talk the GameCube. This is my ace up the sleeve, Resident Evil 4. And to be frank, you can't really, knock the game. I guess you could, but there's not too much really to knock on it. People's main gripe with the Resident Evil series, I know a lot, is controls, and I feel like this one, while it still maintains tank-like controls, it does it right. The graphics are just breathtaking. The storyline is not the most fantastic, but it's original. No, it's not. But it's still good. It's serviceable. It doesn't detract from the experience overall, and that's why this game makes my number 4. So, Let's go on.
I quite agree. All right, number 3. For me, going back to the PS1 era, the whole series, once again, could definitely make any part of my list, but this one just trumped it for me, and the one similar to it, Symphony of the Night. Which I would also like to throw a commendation towards the way of the Game Boy Advance ones that mimicked its formula so well with Soma. Brilliant games. Loved it. And just the fact that when Symphony of the Night, when I thought I was at the end and then discovered I was only halfway.
Yep, you still had to go the entire castle.
Upside down. Oh, yeah. Great series.
Yeah, upside. Yeah, and it birthed basically a Castlevania kind of went off in a branching path at that point. You had your traditional, 2D and 3D, with your whip action, just, like that. This started the Metroidvania, and I don't really like that term, but there's no really better term to describe the labyrinth, type thing that they got going on.
Right.
But yeah, and it spawned, 3 games on the Game Boy Advance, countless on the DS. So it's a proven formula. They got it right the first time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I quite enjoyed Symphony of the Night. It's one of my favorites. Too, I've never finished it. It is something, as a collector, since I've been collecting, I haven't come across that game. PlayStation is hard to come across in general, and that's just one of the games that I just seem to never come across. Obviously, I know there's Amazon and eBay, but as a collector, I tried not to use those as much as possible. Yeah. I enjoy going out in the wild.
The thrill of the hunt.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And also, I want to throw this out there. I know many people hate the 3D Castlevanias as well, but Lament of Innocence and Curse of Darkness were pretty decent games.
Curse of Darkness is excellent. I have that on Xbox, and Lament of Innocence on PS2. Have you played, Lord of Shadow on PS3 or 360?
Not Lord of Shadow on 360, but I did get the 3DS game, which...
Oh, Mirror of Fate, which
yes.
I heard got awful reviews.
It got awful reviews, but it's actually fairly close to the traditional Castlevania formula to me. Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying it.
I mean, hey, that's all that matters. Reviews
exactly,
are not everything. This is just the hearsay I've heard from what... I don't even actively seek out reviews on the internet, and somehow I still heard that this game is garbage somehow. But I haven't played it, so hey, if it's working for you, it's working for you.
Right. I mean, it's not the best game in the world. I obviously haven't gotten that far through it, but because it's gotten such trash reviews, prices tanked, a decent bargain buy.
I would buy it for $10.
All right, your number 3, my brother?
My number 3 is a RPG. Care to take a guess?
Does it begin with Final?
No. No.
Alright. I'm intrigued. What is it?
Oh, come on, take another guess. How many? Give you a hint. It's a JRPG.
Legend of the Dragoon? No? I don't know. There's too many to pick from.
Dragon Quest VIII on the PlayStation 2.
I should have known that.
Yeah, you should have. This game is, when I think of JRPG as a whole, this is just the classic experience. Dragon Quest VIII is the Coca-Cola classic for video games, if you ask me. It's the formula done right. I love the art style. Also, the cell shading just works so well for that game. Of course, the character design. That's all the guy from Dragon Ball Z, who also does all the other Dragon Quest characters. I love the characters. I love the silent protagonist too. Some people think that's stupid. They'd rather have their character have a voice, but we've seen how that goes in certain games. Yengus is one of my favorite characters. People think his accent is annoying. I thought he was hilarious the entire time through. You got Jessica, aka Sex Appeal. Yeah, exactly. And,
Le Pouf Pouf.
Yeah. And the final guy, whose name slips my name, or whose name slips my
Angelo or
mind.
Angelo?
Angelo.
Talking about, yeah.
That's
how the hell do I know that and you don't?
His name slipped my mind is because he's the least rememberable character. So, but I mean, everyone's not going to be a knockout, but he's just a douchey ladies man.
Yeah.
And basically, you one up him the whole time by doing nothing, which I love.
Speaking of douchies ladies men, Bravely Default actually got that archetype right. I just wanted to plug that game real quick. It's JRPG, awesome game, and you actually get a douchies ladies man who you can relate to and feel for instead of one that you feel like is kind of a dick taking up the fourth spot in your party.
Yeah. I mean, the game doesn't do, Dragon Quest VIII doesn't do anything like, I would say revolutionary, but it's all fine-tuned so well. Just the classic JRPG, experience. I think everybody should play it. I played it, my first playthrough was 65 hours, and it flew by. Oh,
yeah. I remember getting 40 hours deep into that game, and I hadn't even fought what I originally assumed to be the ultimate evil.
Domagus, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
There's an entirely different guy after him.
So I've heard, but yeah, it's a pretty long game.
Didn't mean to ruin it for you or anybody else listening, but if you haven't played Dragon Quest VIII, shame on you, because the game is dirt cheap.
Yeah, of course. All right, number 2.
Number 2.
For me, this is a game that I've played for many a year, but haven't beaten until, I believe, within this year. And you were there that night as it happened.
Yep.
Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Oh
that
my god.
Game is a bastard.
A bastard indeed, but a fun one at that.
I give it that.
This game, it's hard to find another game where I've played through it so much and had so much mastery into it and still wanted to go back again and again over a decade later. Just, I had been able to go through it and beat it the first playthrough where you get sent back many years ago. Yeah. But defeating those final bosses with the bracelet, it's just soul-wrenching.
We weren't very good. We had this game at a young age. I remember playing this game when we were like 6 or 7 years old. We might have even been younger than that. I think I might have been 4 years old. So
right,
and it came out in 91, so this was like 92. Obviously, we were never that good as kids because, what kid has an attention span for a game like that? I remember when I rebought the game at like 18 years old, when I rebought a Super Nintendo at the video game store I was working at, just getting really good at that game, fine-tuning my jumping and shooting mechanics. And it's a game where you can literally, it's like Mega Man. You can see the progression and how good you're getting at the platforming and your timing with the enemies. It's all timing-based.
Right. And much like Castlevania, as you get better, your whip has that time which you have to be able to use it. This game, much similar, if you fire at the wrong time, you're dead.
Yeah, now I've made it all the way to the final, or not the final boss, but the final guy before the final boss on the second playthrough. I haven't been able to finish it.
Yeah, because you have
It's
to
extremely frustrating.
double
I
jump
turned it off.
bracelet.
I had literally had to turn it off because my Super Nintendo, it felt like the system had been on for at least 36 hours and the power brick felt super hot to the touch. So, not frying a power brick over Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Yeah, difficult but brilliant game. Anyways,
Yep.
your number 2, my brother?
My number 2 is also a Super Nintendo game. Any guesses?
Is it an RPG?
No, it's not an
No.
RPG. It's a platformer.
A platformer. Oh, Mario?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Super Mario World.
Super Mario World is my number 2 favorite game of all time.
Nice.
Maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia blinders on this one, but damn, that game is good. And
Yeah.
a lot of people will say 3 is better, and I am not talking ill of 3. I love 3. I think they're both equally good games, but World gets the edge for me because we grew up with it. You know,
And that
you gotta have
that level
that
design,
nostalgia
man.
factor, you can't ignore it, man.
Yeah. Plus, World gave us the cape. And the cape
Yeah.
the cape is good. The cape is love.
And Yoshi, which Yoshi was originally supposed to be implemented in an earlier Mario game, but they couldn't do it on the NES. Well, they could do it, but I don't think they could do it like they wanted to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did it well like they did in World. The whole game was brilliant.
Never gets old for me. Play
Definitely
it
not.
constantly. If I'm breaking out the Super Nintendo, there's about a 25% chance I'm playing that game.
Alright. So you think it's time for number 1.
Number 1. What's your number 1 of all time? Do you want to break it down and make me guess? Because I'll be honest, I'm not sure here.
Alright, this game for me has been the defining criteria by
Final Fantasy VII.
No. By what I base any JRPG against. It's not a JRPG either. But Jesus. Alright, I'm just gonna fucking say it because you're way off. Final Fantasy Tactics.
Damn. I'm way off.
Yeah. But the job system, the balance, just the amount of choices you could make with your characters in that game was astonishing, and it saddens me that Square has not made a game which parallels its depth since the PS1 era.
Well, they've made other tactics games on Game Boy Advance and PSP, but I'm assuming they don't live up to the level of this one.
Exactly.
I'm not an expert in the series.
I've played a bunch. I've got the Devil Summoner Overclocked Shin Megami Tensei for 3DS, which is similar in the grid-based system, but breaks down into standard JRPG fights. That was decent, but the job system, the level up system, everything about tactics, the secrets, the secret summon, waves of nostalgia pour over me when I think about this game.
What about Cloud being in there?
Exactly!
Doesn't he suck in that game, though?
No, he's decent. I mean, you gotta get Omni-Slash until he's...
You would think he would be, by default, like the most powerful character in the game.
You would...
That's what I would think if I was to play Final Fantasy VII and this one was to come later. Because it's fan service by adding Cloud, obviously.
Right, definitely.
I don't know.
But I mean, that was at a time where adding...
badass from 7.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I was saying that was at a time where adding a character from their Final Fantasy games was actually a cool point instead of adding like Lightning to Final Fantasy XIV and nobody really caring.
Yeah.
Yeah. But once again, brilliant game, love it. I've beaten it at least 4 times. And it's just that point which I measure all other Square's games against, and they haven't lived up to it recently.
Can I just add, our lists are drastically different.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Growing up in the same household, same access to games, we've developed, while a strong JRPG taste, I've definitely gone towards the darker RPGs, where you've gone more towards action.
Fair enough. I haven't gone down the whole Call of Duty route, though. I definitely I like a good action adventure game. I love RPGs. There's not a genre out there that I won't touch. You know.
Likewise.
All right. So moving on to the number one. I know
Right.
you know what my number one is because I am a raving lunatic about this
Of
game.
course. Play it up a bit.
What's that?
Play it up a bit. Get a little dramatic here.
Play it up a bit. Debatably the. Oh, geez. I don't even know how to play it up a bit. When I got this game, I'll be frank here. One of the things that I thought was really cool about it was that this game came on technically 4 disc, which I was like, when I was a kid and I saw a game at GameStop for $9.99 and it has 4 discs, I'm like, I'm gonna get a lot of content out of this game. That's how I looked at it as a kid. It was a wild blind guess going in, and the price was right. Obviously, I'll give you my next hint. It was on the Dreamcast because the price I got it at, literally probably less than a year after release, was like $9.99. So,
I will say one thing.
yeah.
Back in the PS1 and the Dreamcast era, when you saw a game with 4 discs, you knew it was going to be good at that point. Like, I can't recall a game on 3 or more discs that was complete garbage that we played. If you saw that double case, you knew you were going to get a lengthy work of art that somebody poured their heart and soul into making.
No, I'm sure there are exceptions to the rule, but
Of course.
I guess we've just been lucky enough to not have any of these awful games. All right, so enough beating around the bush. My personal favorite, and I'm sure it'll be a controversial choice, but with some gamers, is
Shenmue 2.
Shenmue.
Oh, Shenmue 1.
Shenmue 1. Well, I guess the series as a whole, technically, if we're counting the series as a whole.
Does it break your heart every time you hear rumors of Shenmue 3? I shouldn't have even said that.
Yeah, especially since all the speculation on the internet's been going crazy. I know Yu Suzuki, the creator, did a post-mortem conference thing. Basically, he was going over all kinds of crazy details and stuff. I know Microsoft also, some executives has expressed interest in doing the franchise or doing another game on Xbox One. It's one of the most requested games that gamers ask for, blah, blah, blah. I think he was just pandering to people, but that's just me. This game was just an experience for me, man. I was just into it from beginning to end. The graphics at the time were mind-blowing. The level of interaction with stuff. I know people say it's incredibly slow and boring. Some people do, but you can take this game at your own pace. So you can fly through it if you really wanted to. But obviously some people are just not going to be into the setting or the story, and I say that's bad for you because I think it's one just incredibly well-developed. I don't even want to sound corny here, but you can feel the love that was put into this game. This was a labor of love. And it was Sega's. It breaks my heart that this game couldn't save the Dreamcast, or that anything couldn't save the Dreamcast. Let's be honest. Just so good from beginning to end. I play this one just like all the other games on my top 5 all the time. I break out the Dreamcast specifically for this game. I love going at your own pace, going to the arcade, playing Space Harrier and Hang On. Basically, at that point in the game, you're going to have an amount of money to where you can play that all you want if that's all you want to do. I mean, and for $10 when I bought this game, I basically got 2 arcade ports for free in it. And Space Harrier is still a fantastic game. One of my favorite games. In fact, my favorite piece of video game music would have to be the Space Harrier theme. Never would have discovered the Space Harrier game if it wasn't for Shenmue.
Interesting.
Yep. Have you played the games at all?
I remember watching you play Shenmue when we were much younger.
Mm-hmm.
And being absolutely intrigued by the capsule machines. And I was like, this is so ridiculous. Yeah, and you kept doing it. And then some things like now coming to Japan and seeing those same machines,
Man,
I understand the draw.
They had a lot of Sega fan service in there with the machines also. They had
definitely.
Knights characters, Virtual Fighter, all the Sonic stuff.
Yeah.
It's every Sega fanboy's... I shouldn't even say that. But it's this Sega fanboy's dream come true as far as games.
Oh, definitely.
Yep. So that was the epic top 5 list we had there, each of us. I'm sure not everybody will agree, and some people will say we're stupid and we play way too much new stuff. But I personally love games of all generations. I can't help what my favorite games are.
Yeah, it's a personal top 5. Everyone's going to be different.
This is not, I want to prove I'm a legit hardcore gamer top 5. This is honest, corny again, bottom of my heart top 5.
This is, if you had to be on an island for the rest of your life with 5 games, what would they be top 5?
No, it would probably just be all MMOs, because you'd get the most play out of those.
This is true after how many years with WoW? Let's move on, please.
So, how many, what games are you playing now?
Well,
besides Dark Souls 2.
Dark Souls 2 I've put down since defeating the final boss for now. I've recently moved on to the Stick of Truth, just playing that in my spare time, which has been fairly decent. I mean, as an RPG goes, it's pretty good. It's funny at moments, if not a little repetitive.
You've been streaming that one on Twitch, too. You want to plug your Twitch?
Not really, because nobody's going to be able to spell my Twitch name through this podcast. I might throw it up in the comments later.
Well, there you go. Look for the comments, people.
Yeah.
If you can. Sorry.
On top of that, also been playing Bravely Default, which has been a really great game, but I can't seem to get into it for more than a few hours at a time. Like, it just... Square has played out the Crystal plotline so much now, not to spoil anything, but it's about elemental crystals, guys.
Wait. You're telling me there's 4 crystals?
See, I didn't even say the number 4. I mean, come on. Is there an evil empire? Oh, sorry. Spoiled it again. It's so contrived.
Nicholas, calm down. We don't want people to think you dislike Square or something.
No. I love the game. But it's all been played out before.
Or, excuse me, Square Enix.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine. So, what you're saying is it's Final Fantasy's greatest hits on 3DS.
Yeah, it really is. Like, you can tell the art style was derived from the Final Fantasy III remake they did, with the chibi characters with pointy appendages, which gets really weird when you get to the pervy old man talking about one of the female characters' curves, and you're looking at what looks to be a 12-year-old with small pixel polygon boobs, but... yeah. Interesting game nonetheless.
Don't knock the country you live in, sir.
Hey, it's... actually, I've read some articles where this game has been toned down from the Japanese release, where there was this outfit called the Bravo Bikini, which, in America, it's much less revealing than the Japanese version.
Awesome. You playing anything else?
I recently put... New Super Mario Brothers 2, I believe is the full name.
The one on 3DS?
On DS, the one where the overarching goal is to collect 1 million coins.
That's on 3DS.
It's on 3DS?
Yes.
Oh, well, I don't know. The 2 consoles kind of run together for me lately.
I know. It's just, we gotta make sure we get our facts straight.
Of course.
The nerds coming at us.
Hey, don't use that term, man.
That's not a derogatory term. What I meant is we don't want...
the fact checkers.
There you go.
The internet police. Right.
There you go.
But yeah, that one's been pretty good. I mean, just the stuff that they implemented with adding to your coin count, like there's a Fire Mario form that's solid gold where your fireballs turn things into coins. Like,
yeah.
So you can shoot through a pile of bricks and
the big innovation on this one.
I mean... you know you're getting more of the same with this kind of game. So, I mean, at least they made coin collecting interesting, because you're going to end up with 100 some lives by the end of it anyways. Why not?
Well, you're gonna have to do multiple playthroughs to get 1 million coins, right?
I believe so. I haven't gotten too deep into it. I just picked it up a couple nights ago because it's been sitting on my shelf. I'd been meaning to get to it. And I'm kind of RPG'd out at this point. I mean, Dark Souls, Stick of Truth, Bravely Default. I needed a little childhood brain relaxation.
Understandable. Everybody needs that.
Yeah. So what about you? I mean, what have you been playing?
Alright, the first game I've been playing on PS3, I've been playing Catherine for the first time. I just finished the 6th level today, and I just want to add that I am playing on easy mode, and I have no shame in that, because this game is ridiculous. In fact, my roommate, who's not a huge gamer, has been just watching me, and he's just like, what the hell is this? But it's interesting. God, the storyline, it's fresh. It's something original. I love the art style to it. And not only that, the gameplay, obviously, if you don't know what Catherine is, it's the actual gameplay besides the interaction in between levels with the cast of characters. Is you have these levels where you're basically climbing to the top. It's a puzzle game where you have to move blocks and different obstacles, use items to basically just get to the top. It sounds extremely simple, and at times it really is, but this is just something really just incredibly deep, and I would go as far as to say innovative, because it's something really fresh. I'm enjoying it so far. Besides the insane difficulty, hopefully this weekend I'm trying to finish up the last 2 levels or floors, so we'll see how that goes.
Interesting. Anything else?
Yep. Started up Dark Souls on the first one on 360. Like I said, just a couple hours into that. Let's see. I have. Damn, I knew I should have written this down. Not really too much else at the moment. I just got a lot of new games, but those are the 2 main ones right there. I try not to start too many games when I'm already playing one, just because I don't want to just lose interest or, start so many games that half of them never get finished. So there's a lot on my plate in the future.
Understandable.
Yeah. All right, so you want to get into a little bit of gaming news here? We got 3 topics lined up.
All right, let's go.
All right, I'll take over on the first one. We got Adam Sessler announces that he is leaving Rev 3 Games, and I just want to say, I personally, I follow a lot of people on YouTube. I didn't follow, I'm not subscribed to Rev 3 Games, but if something in my what to watch list came up and it seemed mildly interesting in it and it had Sessler in it, I would watch it. I know because we both used to watch X Play a lot when we were younger. That's how we know Sessler. He's as far as gaming personalities go, and like media and journalism, he's absolutely one of my favorites. So he has decided. Let me pull up the article here. He's going to pursue new avenues in the gaming industry. He's leaving journalism, and it says that he little has been announced, but on his Twitter, his page has described him as the president of Theory Head Inc. Incorporated, as a consultancy for entertainment and media, whatever that means. Bring up the speculation on that one.
And just to be clear, what's your source on that so that everybody knows? What site did you pull that article from?
This is from Forbes, believe it or not.
Ah, quite reliable there.
Yeah.
Unexpected gaming journalism article from them.
Yeah, you want to take the second subject?
Well, let's talk more about this, because,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sessler, I remember way younger when we first discovered G4, or it wasn't even G4, it was Tech TV then, and it was extended play when we first got introduced to Sessler. And that was pre-Morgan Webb, right?
Yeah, that was pre-Morgan Webb.
So
just Sessler.
Then, as we start to become pubescent, on comes the sex appeal. Just double whammy, bam, bam, X-Play. Brilliant show. And then now, post X-Play, hearing him leave that, it was heartbreaking knowing that it was the end of that show as we know it. Hearing that he went...
G4 just... or when Tech TV became G4 and then G4 just basically fell apart, it was inevitable, so...
Took Cops reruns and cheaters.
Whoever came in and took over that network...
oh my god. It. Yeah.
So
destroyed part of our childhood.
I'm happy he found an avenue into YouTube to do Rap 3 games, and from what I know he's been responsible for a lot of their popularity. People still really like Cecily.
Of course. When I first heard this news that he was leaving, I hadn't been following Rev 3 games either. They had mildly piqued my interest because Sessler was a part of them. So, in hearing of his departure, I decided to go watch one of his reviews from him. And it brought me back to X-Play. And then at the end, just hearing him... I was watching the Bioshock Infinite review. He said, I give Bioshock Infinite a 5 out of 5. And I was like, oh! Had a bit of a nerdgasm there, just like...
He has the voice.
He had... Just the way he delivers that line, that is pure Sessler gold. And whatever he brings that to, he's got the Midas touch, man. So, like I said, I have no interest in Rev 3 games aside from him. I don't think I'm going to pay much attention to them now. From what I've read, the other personalities were kind of weak comparatively.
I've seen videos with other people in them, but I don't know who they are.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to talk something that I haven't done much research into. But the most depressing part of this news is hearing that he is venturing away from gaming journalism at this point.
You know, that's disappointing, but it seems like he's also doing it on his terms. And
right.
I don't think there's any like foul politics in play or something where he thinks he needs to get away. He's doing what he wants to do.
Exactly.
It's sad because we won't get any more, gaming news or articles out of him or whatever. But it is what it is. It is what it is, and it's not like he's going away forever. I'm sure he still will have a presence out there on the internet, Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. So,
yeah,
good for him. Good for him, I think, overall in the long run. Do what you do to make you happy.
Exactly. All right, so let's move on. Next piece of news that we're covering: EA trolls the Wii U Twitter on April Fool's Day.
Yep.
So, for those of you who don't know, the basic gist of it was a series of tweets from what was the name?
It wasn't Peter Moore. It was just I think a no-name somebody like
It was like the Twitter for the engine, right?
Yeah, it was somebody in EA was just responsible for running the Twitter, and it wasn't EA's like main Twitter from what I understand. Yeah, like it was like the Frostbite specific Twitter.
Exactly, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So the tweet was that the Frostbite engine now runs on the Wii U and has been optimized for it to run Mario and Zelda games.
Since it is the most powerful console, they said, of this generation.
And of course, this caused extreme fan displeasure because, as everybody knows, the Wii U has been struggling this console generation. And
I think it's honestly a low blow. I know EA has said that they're not developing for the Wii U. This is all based on money. Let's be honest here. It is an industry, so
right.
You got to do what you do to make money, and they're doing what they think is best. But it's stupid. It's a low blow, and not to be all, don't make fun of Nintendo. But I mean, it was just stupid.
Yeah,
I don't think it was funny. I mean, maybe some PlayStation and Xbox fanboys got a giggle out of it,
but considering that
it also makes EA as a whole look even more like assholes.
Yeah, and considering that a huge portion of the Wii U's failure at this point is a huge lack of third-party support.
Yep.
Just twisting that knife like that wasn't pleasant.
And we're not saying we're Nintendo fanboys and nobody should ever take a shot at Nintendo if it's not justified, but this was just stupid.
Yeah, uncalled for. But yeah, once again, it was April Fool's, so can't rip on them too hard for it. But
yeah, but I feel like with a company as big as that, there needs to be a certain level of professionalism, even in the realm of social media, Twitter and whatnot.
right,
You know,
of course.
I mean, maybe if they had followed it with the hashtag April Fools or something, that makes it mildly better.
Hey, who would have thought that a communication medium that's limited to 140 characters could ever result in a misunderstanding, right?
Yeah, seriously. But I think this is pretty intentional.
Right.
Yeah, fuck EA. Oh, dropped the first F-bomb on the podcast.
I think
And
I think one or two
thinking-
slipped before now, but
might have. That's the first one I caught, but I think that's justified because EA is the damn devil.
okay, we're just gonna throw this out here right now. ESRB rating of M for mature for this podcast, 18 plus only, please.
Oh my goodness! Don't let your children hear it. All right.
How'd you kill?
Ready to move
How'd
on
your
to the
wife?
final piece of gaming news, and I know this is a little belated, but this is definitely still relevant. The Sega versus Nintendo, basically movie, Console Wars. It's being adapted from a book. It has Seth Rogen and what's the other one? Evan Goldberg attached to it.
James Franco.
I don't think James Franco is involved. I know these two in particular
Okay.
are attached to it. I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't know how that group works, but I'm sure James Franco will make an appearance somewhere in this. But it's based on Blake J. Harris's upcoming nonfiction book, Console Wars, Sega, Nintendo, and the Battle That Defined a Generation. And he has been attached to produce. I think this is extremely interesting subject matter. Let's just hope they don't ruin it with... how do I put this lightly? Some of their movies suck. I don't want to get into a whole movie discussion here and be like, oh, this movie sucks and this movie's good. They have some good stuff, but let's be real here. They have some bad stuff. And
They have a formula.
The subject matter is definitely interesting, and I think there is a way that you can approach this to make it accessible to anybody who's not also a gamer, but still caters to the hardcore market, which a video game of this subject matter should. So hopefully the execution will be there, and they do it right, and they do it justice.
Yeah, and you've covered pretty much every point that I wanted to make on this. I'm just hoping they don't turn it into a, oh, haha, we developed for whatever company, let's go get baked kind of movie.
Yeah, I kind of see that. I kind of see Seth Rogen smoking a joint in freaking the bathroom of Sega. Stupid shit.
And then coming up with the idea for Sonic from that.
And somebody from Nintendo walks in and Seth Rogen's, fuck! Because that's what Seth Rogen does.
Right. Alright, so I think we've covered all the gaming news we want to cover for now.
How about a little next-gen talk?
All right.
Or current gen, excuse me. Current generation.
Next gen's just a buzzword anyway.
I know the answer to this, but do you own any next generation machines or current generation machines?
The only next gen machine I currently own is a Wii U. And I have my reasons for that. One is because I actually have stuff to play on the Wii U. I've got my Wind Waker HD. Let's see, what else did I pick up with it? Pikmin 3. I ended up getting the Tekken game for it to play with my wife. Got Game & Wario also to play with the wife. I mean, it's still definitely a very family-friendly console. Nintendo knows how to get into the living room, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I've definitely had the money to go out and pick up a PS4 or an Xbox One, but every time I'm in the store holding one, I think to myself, well...
So hold up, let me stop you there. You've actually held one in your hands contemplating a purchase.
Yes, I have. And
of each.
And I've walked over to the game section. I'm like, if I'm getting this console, I'm getting a game to play with it.
Obviously.
And I go and look, and I'm like, there's nothing I want to play.
Fair enough.
I've heard Infamous Second Son for the PS4 is great. I've heard Titanfall for the Xbox One is great. But none of them are console movers for me. To make that $400 or $500 purchase, I need something worth that investment. And right now, there's just nothing on the table for me. So I might as well wait until something is brought forward and possibly a console price drop at the same time.
You want to play Titanfall on 360?
You mean one?
No, it's coming out on 360 also. It's already out on one.
Huh, I did not know that.
Titanfall is coming on 360.
Well, it's already out on the PC, which...
I don't have a PC that can play it.
Yeah, but I mean...
I'm saying we should play it.
On the 3... Yeah, sure, why not? I'm just saying that would be the only game that I'd even contemplate purchasing the system for. And
I mean, it looks amazing. I think it looks fantastic.
And I can play it on my PC, so...
Personally, I am also on Xbox One as far as that's concerned. Dead Rising 3 looks interesting, but looks like more of the same. Right. The new Killer Instinct looks fantastic, but if I'm not mistaken, no, there's physical and digital copies, if I'm not mistaken. But I just don't know if that's enough to warrant $500 price tag.
Exactly.
I think
a fighting game?
Yeah. Personally, if they came out with a model without the Kinect for $400, I'm sold.
Right. Now, what's interesting...
That's just me.
Another thing that's potentially leaning me towards the one is the Titanfall Collector's Edition. Absolutely massive if you've seen it in person. I don't know the exact dimensions. It's probably about 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot.
Yeah.
Massive cube filled with the game, a statue, all that good stuff. There's 9 of them sitting at the local Navy Exchange for $250 each. Nobody's buying them. Because it's all sailors with limited space out here.
Wait till those things get knocked down to 99 and then jump on them.
Exactly. Why not get the game, which would still be $60, plus a massive collector's edition for cheap? And then at that point, given that I have the game, I may jump on the system and use it as a home entertainment media center as well, just because I can.
Alright. Anything on the PS4 coming out that's going to be the killer app for you?
I think Kingdom Hearts 3, when that finally hits, if that's a PS3 exclusive, I'll have to go for that just to finally wrap up the series after all this. Or PS4, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't clarify.
I've gone through 1, 2, Chain of Memories, 358 over 2 days, Recoded. God, Birth by Sleep. I know I'm probably missing another one. So that's like 6 games right there, and I'm ready for it to wrap up.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if Square is going to even do at this point.
Probably not.
Yeah. Don't you miss the days where games wrapped up gracefully?
Yeah.
Instead of being milked till they die.
On the other hand, I know you said you own a Wii U. I don't own any of the 3. And basically it comes down to the same reasons as you. The amount of games, the Wii U definitely has some games that are look interesting to me, but 300 is still kind of hard to swallow on that system. They did a bundle with the Mario and Luigi, both of those games, the 2D ones, but they're digital downloads. You throw a physical disc in there, that makes it all the more tempting for me. You throw a digital download on there, I'm like, no.
Which was depressing for me because I got that Wind Waker bundle because I'd previously purchased the regular 3DS with the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time combo with the art on it. Also the 3DS XL that came with Link Between Worlds, that art on it. So I love having the trifecta of Nintendo Legend of Zelda systems, but that lack of physical copy...
Yeah, that's definitely a bumper. I was actually recently in a pawn shop, and there was a base model, the 8GB Wii U, the white one. They wanted $160 for it. I'm like, for that price, I can get on board. Also, the fact that people say, "Oh, well, the storage on it, you can just throw a USB drive in the back and."
Isn't it just an SD card inside of it?
Or you could also throw an SD card in it, I think.
Yeah.
It has USB ports on it, does it not?
Yeah, that's how it plugs in.
The original Wii has a USB. Why wouldn't the Wii U?
Right.
Yeah, you just throw a freaking flash drive on the back of it, and I've got all the memory I could ever want for it. But unfortunately, it just had one scratch on the screen. That was a deal breaker for me.
Oh, yeah.
But with that system, I can't. If I'm going to buy it secondhand, the screen has to be immaculate.
Right.
I can probably more deal with a little bit of minor cosmetic damage, like on maybe the plastic part of the system, but the screen has got to be good.
Right.
Xbox One, like I said, there's plenty of stuff that I could very well be purchasing both the PS4, Xbox One, and also the Wii U all within the year. Depends on what how my financial situation goes, but they're all gaining steam, and I think they're all going to have something to offer very soon here. So it's going to be really interesting once it picks up pace.
Wait, what's that? They're all getting Steam on them? Oh, yes, this is amazing.
They all have Steam boxes built into them, in fact, but you might void the warranty if you open the system and take out the Steam box. But, yeah, anyway, so yeah, there's going to be something for all of them eventually. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, every console generation, especially as of late, has taken time to get going. I mean, look at the slow start on the 3DS. I mean, games just take longer to develop.
This is true.
How it is.
But I remember back when we were younger, the launch lineup for games was much stronger than what they're delivering now.
I mean, I loved the GameCube launch was really special. I remember the Christmas we got the GameCube.
Luigi's Mansion, man.
Luigi's Mansion, and I got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. I don't regret it one bit. It's a sports game. I love the series, but still, I got so many hours of enjoyment out of that. Still one of my favorite games on the system. 2 weeks later or whatever, I think we got Smash Brothers, and just that was it from there.
Oh, speaking of Tony Hawk, I did end up picking up Goat Simulator last night.
Yeah?
It actually reminds me a lot of the Tony Hawk series, the way you bust out combos, but with a goat.
Yeah.
Just had to throw that out there.
If you got Goat Simulator, you need to be streaming that one.
I did. I gained a whole follower from it. Yeah.
So what are you up to? 3 now?
6. Yeah.
Building that empire.
Yeah. One peasant at a time.
Yep. So, how long do you think it'll take you to get the other 2 systems realistically? You think you'll own them by the end of the year?
If I wanted to right now, I could go get them.
Well, I know that.
Like I said, there's just nothing I really want to play right now.
Yeah, but with like Metal Gear Solid 5 on the horizon and stuff like that,
and that's going to be for both of them. That's going to be for both, so that's going to be kind of up in the air. Like, to be honest, I don't even know if that's a console mover for me. Like, I didn't jump on the PS3 bandwagon until like 2 years ago.
I know,
and
same here.
Got a ridiculous amount of games for cheap, but now, like, looking at paying $60 for these games that I don't see much special in, it's just difficult.
Oh, I know. We're probably gonna get knocked for that, but what can you do?
Yeah.
Just not early adopters.
Seriously, I've got a massive backlog of games from all generations that I've still got to go back and play. By the time I'm finished with that, there should be a sufficient library to go up and pick up.
By the time, I know you even have an even larger library than me. I have 450 games. If you really went back and played everything, you would never have time to go on to the next generation.
This is true. But I do make
the current generation. Excuse me.
Right. I'm sure I'll get stuff to play eventually. I'm actually most looking forward to the new Super Smash Bros. Coming out. Which I'm actually concerned why I'm looking forward to that now that I'm out in Japan and have far fewer friends to go over and play with.
Well, it's going to be online, right? You can play it online.
I believe so. Yeah. So.
I mean, the Brawl on Wii was online, so. Alright. Next topic. Want to talk about a little bit of game collecting?
Yeah.
Seeing as we both do it.
This is true.
A lot of people do.
To be honest, I think I got more into it just to say that I'm better than you at it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I believe my collection crested 500 recently, which is nice, but you got to count in the 60 Japanese games I've picked up out here.
Japanese games count, sir.
Yeah, I know that. It's just I need to get my reading comprehension up to be able to fully enjoy them, especially those RPGs.
If you can beat any RPG in Japanese, then you have, I think, a good enough grasp on the language to do anything in Japanese.
Yeah, a few things I've been enjoying in Japanese, though. Puzzles and Dragons Z on the 3DS, which Puzzles and Dragons was a phone app that was only available in the Japanese region, I believe. But Americans, of course, found ways to get their hands on it. This game is so far only in Japan. I believe it's slated for sometime this year in North America. It's like Pokemon mixed with a puzzle game. It's pretty interesting and nice. I mean, it's not very difficult, but it was a good time killer. Another thing I was playing was before they got physical copies in America, I was playing Senran Kagura Burst. Now, have you heard of this one?
No.
To keep it short, large-chested ninja high schoolers.
Piques my interest, sir.
It plays like those old side-scrolling Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games where, like, you got the depth and you go around attacking everything with your ninja weapons.
Talking about beat 'em up, or
yeah, beat 'em up. Yeah, that's much better.
What do they call them? Not sides, belt scrollers. I believe they call it elsewhere in the UK and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the exact term, but fun. And as you take more damage in that game, your clothes get ripped off. So, a little bit of fan service there.
Me a copy of this game.
It is available on the 3DS digital download store. I'm not certain if they got physical copies in America. I think they did. I know they did in the UK.
Well, you can send me a link to this after this is all said and done.
Of course, yes, yeah.
But yeah, how was tell us a little bit about your game collecting experiences in Japan since you've been there. How many you've been there? What, 5 months total now?
Yeah, just about. Really, it's been disappointing that I can't find any sort of yard sales out here. I'm sure they probably go on, but
or some variation or spin on it.
Right.
Something. Yeah.
The places I found that are really good, there's a store called Book Off. It's books, manga, and video games, and I guess CDs and movies as well. But they have a section called Old Soft, which I take into going there at least weekly just to peruse what they've gotten in. And I've picked up some really interesting stuff. I've completed a set of Dragon Quest 1 through 7, all in boxes, which is awesome, which I'll be giving to Dragonmaster X here whenever he makes it to Japan. There's also this place, I believe it's the same company as Book Off, called Watman's, which is a giant recycle shop, as they call them. And as I walked in there, I look over to my right, and I see a Famicom bundle with Rob sticking out the top.
Wow.
And it nearly brought me to my knees in tears because of how beautiful it was. But
I didn't even know the Rob came out in Japan. I thought that was something that was made specifically for the American market to differentiate the Nintendo from just another video game console.
Well, obviously, some exist in Japan, but they wanted $300 for it.
That sounds about from what I know, the going rate on a Rob in America is $300, if I'm not mistaken. But that might be boxed.
Also, though, it was in the section labeled as junk, which means one or more things is wrong with it. So I wasn't about to drop that kind of change to figure it out. They also had a Neo Geo there for a decent price, but also in the junk. And when I asked them about it, they said no video out, which was depressing.
Gotcha.
But I have found some interesting things out here. I have a box copy of Mother for the Famicom now. A loose copy of Mother 2 for the Super Famicom, because anybody who is serious into collecting knows in America that game goes by the name of Earthbound.
Well,
And
Mother 2 is Earthbound.
right, and that is a couple $100 investment.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas over here, I got it for 1,000 yen, which is the equivalent of $10.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, well worth it, I think.
Okay. Correction on our Rob the Robot. I'm looking up completed listings here. I see them as low as $40 loose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's not including all parts. If you start including all gyros and accessories with it, you're getting into the 100s. Boxed one with a 5 out of 10 box went for 162. Here's one without the with the styrofoam and everything looks better. No box for 200. That was completed. These are all completed. These are not just listings. These are all completed auctions. Yeah, I don't really see any besides that. There's one with a slightly better box for 185. Yeah. Okay. This one has a buy it now 350. So yeah, highest I see is like 200. But yeah, still expensive, very expensive
Oh
for
yeah,
something that apparently doesn't work very well.
right.
Yeah.
So also out here, I've had some really good luck finding some consoles for cheap. At Book Off,
Nice.
I got a complete boxed Saturn, immaculate, for
Is it,
1,000 yen.
it's white, right? Or is it gray?
Gray.
Gray.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the exact color, but
the American one is black.
when I bought it, they were like, we tried to test it and couldn't, so we don't know if it works.
Mm-hmm.
How's 1,000 yen? I'm like, sure.
What's 1,000 yen roughly translate into an American?
$10. I mean, a yen's about a cent, so take off 2 zeros. Took it home, popped in Panzer Dragoon's Way. Worked beautifully first try, so super happy with that purchase.
Fantastic.
I also picked up a Sega Genesis and Mega CD attachment, first gen, with no cords for 500 yen or $5.
So that's a Mega Drive, correct? Not a Genesis. It says Mega Drive on it.
Right. Well, it's a Genesis with the Mega Drive attachment, which is the Sega CD in America.
Wait a minute, no.
Wait.
The Mega it's called
Mega CD.
Mega
That's right.
Yeah,
Mega CD. I'm
Mega
sorry.
Drive is the Genesis and the Mega CD is the Sega CD.
Right. Sorry, terminology mix up.
All good.
Yeah.
Just trying to get everything straight.
Of course. Yeah, so that's been a great find. I haven't gotten to testing it yet because I don't have the cabling for it.
Yeah, make sure you don't use the wrong AC adapter.
Or blow it out like we did yours. Have to go on a soldering journey again. But yeah, for $5, I mean, why not?
Yes.
Chances are one of the two parts at least works.
Worst case scenario, it's a nice display piece.
Oh, definitely. It's already on the collection shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another thing that I really want to find while I'm out here, which is very, very hard to come across in America for a decent price, the Panasonic Q. Do you know about that?
Yeah, it's the basically Nintendo let Panasonic make a version of the GameCube that also had a DVD. Well, it was just a DVD disc drive that also you could fit GameCube games in there.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, it had like a shiny, almost like a mirror-like exterior to it, some type of casing.
It was silverish. I mean,
yeah, it had a kind of like rounded things on the top. It looked kind of funny.
Yeah, sort of like handles. Yeah, I've been keeping my eye out. Haven't found one yet. I've heard of them going for less for like DVD player prices out here from places that don't know what they are.
Really?
So it's just coming across one at the right recycle shop.
I remember in high school looking at those things online. I mean, obviously they were way out of my price range in high school, but it's just cool just to see them.
Yeah. All right. So, what about you? How's the game collecting been going out there, back in the States?
Game collecting is solid. Yard sale season is upon us here. I've yet I work a job Monday through Friday, and I do have the weekends off, but it has been hard to make myself get up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday. I have managed to make it out to a couple flea markets on Sundays with my one friend, but the only thing I've come across that was really interesting was an Atari 7800, but I had no way to test it, so ultimately I just had to pass on it. The price was all right, but you know, just didn't feel comfortable without being able to test it. Not a huge Atari buff, but I was
Right.
definitely interested in adding it to the collection. Uh, I've been getting good stuff here and there. I'm going to sound so behind, but I just recently got another 360. That is actually my third one. I've been cleaning house at video game stores on 360. They're blowing out the games for 99 cents, 1.99. A lot of games even $5. Fantastic AAA games. They can't get rid of them because they have so many copies. Various video game stores, and yes, I also mean GameStop, which I hate to go to, but I only go sometimes because of convenience and just sheer selection. They just have that much more stuff just because they get that much more traffic. Obviously, if I was to go to a video game store, I would prefer to go something that independent mom and pop, owned, but it's just not always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'd always just the fact that there were 4 GameStops within 5 minutes of where I used to live in the States. It's just you can't beat being able to just roll out there and get whatever you want for a halfway decent price most of the time. Trading in, of course, is abysmal, but on the other side, purchasing not quite as bad.
They were trying to convince me to bring in some games at GameStop. They're like, got anything you want to trade in? And I'm like, no. They're like, trying to build the collection up, right? And I was like, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I
Trying
actually
to build the collection up and not trying to get freaking ripped off.
Yeah, I had a good rapport with some of the employees there. I mean, I was able to convince one of the guys at one of my frequented stops to save some of the 3D or DS cases for the more collectible games, which was nice because it breaks my heart how they go and pull the card out of the DS games, put them in a shelf, and throw everything else out.
Yeah.
As a collector, just destroying so many cases for no reason. It does not take that much more space to store them sideways.
Well, the thing is, if they just stored them sideways, that would be one thing. But they feel like with these, which I don't get, because certain games on racks, like the Wii games, and even they have some budget games from other systems that are on racks facing that way. What they claim they like to do is face their games, which is the label facing outward, so you can obviously see what the game is that much easier. That's what I've heard. That's their main excuse. But if you have a giant rack with just Wii games lined up, not like that, like book style, why couldn't you do it with DS?
I think it's more of they probably got in a large volume of DS games just cart, and people were ignoring those in favor of ones with boxes. So why not equalize the stock,
I mean, that's one theory, but I mean, let's not try and justify GameStop here.
Yeah, definitely not. Don't have that kind of mindset as a collector.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, like your collection, my collection is just it's not out of control, but it's definitely growing at a constant rate with all the deals I've been able to get. And I don't like to just pick up any game, I pick up a game because it has some redeeming quality. I will pick up a game that gets average reviews, and I don't just go off the reviews because it's interesting subject matter and the price is right. So I'd like to say that every game in my collection, one time or another, I've wanted to play it. I don't just pick up garbage just to say, oh, I have this many games.
Right.
And obviously, neither of us have huge collections. We have bigger than most people. Not most people, but, just your average person. But as far as collectors go, especially like on YouTube and that, we're freaking small bananas,
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But, I mean, unless I was going to complete a set, like, get all the NES games, I'm not going to go out of my way to go pick up Marble Madness version 2 Madden, NFL 92, whatever. It's just not something I'm ever going to want to play. Maybe if it was like a dime at a flea market, sure, why not? But
Maybe.
that's about the limit for me.
Yeah, and I actually have a couple sports games in my collection. They're ones I want to play, though.
Yeah. Like, what was that? Super Play Action Football on the Super Nintendo?
That game is awful.
Awful? I remember enjoying it quite a lot as a
I
child.
remember us having nothing else to play as kids, and me playing that.
That was true.
But I digress.
Alright.
Ooh, you got the next subject there lined up?
YouTube talk?
Yeah, let's do a little bit of YouTube talk.
You lead the way with that, because I'm not too sure where you were going with that.
Well, I know. I just wanted you to. Personalities on YouTube. Do you subscribe to anybody in particular?
Subscribe, no. I will watch stuff occasionally. I watched Game Grumps for a while, which I thought was humorous, but it drags on after a while. I mean, there are so many episodes of it, and it's the same formula over and over, just the same two guys talking and BS.
I used to watch Game Grumps.
You do? Why is that?
Ever since JonTron left.
Yeah, I don't really understand the whole.
I don't know what happened there, but I like JonTron a lot. I think he's hilarious.
I watched I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, the whole series, it was funny and all, but it gets stale rather quick in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not big on Let's Plays personally. I mean, they're interesting from time to time, but to just watch on a daily basis channel will just, I don't know, it's not super appealing to me. I've been into, not part of, but into the YouTube whole community for a while now. I subscribe to quite a few channels, and this has basically been my inspiration for what we're doing right now. I started with just the real basics. I couldn't even tell you who I first really got into on YouTube, but I know to do a name drop here, just the whole All Gen Gamers podcast crew, all four of those guys, Pete, Jason, and John Gamester, all four of them guys I watch on YouTube, love all their stuff. I love their podcast. Basically, I just went on from there. I can tell you right now, one of my favorite channels is GameSack. Those dudes just do it right. They know what they're talking about, and I find their delivery charming. You know, people say it's wooden and stale, but they just know what they're talking about, and it's just good stuff. Fantastic editing. I mean, some of the best editing you're gonna come across on YouTube.
It's good
Obviously,
content.
There's many other channels. I'm not going to plug everything right here, but I'm just trying to give people a general idea of what I enjoy on YouTube.
Right.
I love reviews. Review.
What's the name of that guy who pretends to be like half retarded and a huge Sega fan? You know what I'm talking about?
Keith Apicary?
Yeah, Keith Apicary, man.
Oh my god. That description. Nathan Barnett, aka Keith Apicary, was one of the first people I really started following on YouTube, and if you haven't seen any of his videos, I would suggest the one where the Sega CD is one of my favorite ones. The Snatcher one is solid, so definitely check him out. That dude is freaking hilarious. It's all parody and a good touch of slapstick humor.
Yeah. I remember you showing me that, and we were both rolling on the floor laughing. Yeah. Just at some of the crazy stuff he did.
He had a bit where he was talking about the Sega CD, and he was holding the Genesis CD, and no, I don't think he was holding one, but he was talking about what's going to be more threatening if you run into an alley and he's holding the Sega CD. He's like, this or a PS3. He's like, obviously the Sega PS3 is too fat and obese to do anything. I mean, that shit is brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah, I guess we're trying to break into this whole YouTube thing too.
Yeah, I mean, we both have a unique perspective on video games. It'd be nice to go out, pick up some recent stuff, even play some older stuff, post our thoughts about it, get a good community discussion about why we're right or why we're total idiots for not.
Yep.
It'd be fun to get a good channel going and just express our thoughts.
And hey, we're just doing this for fun too.
Right.
You know, this is it's going to be a labor of love for us, which we're fully both committed to.
Exactly. I mean, it's going to be good. No worries about money. No worries about whether or not it's successful. If we get 10 views a week, I'd be happy just knowing that
I
we
just want
enriched
to put
10
good
people's lives.
content out there, and if people enjoy it, that's going to be huge for us.
Yeah. So, you got anything else for us tonight?
No, let's move on to some Jerry's final thoughts here. Let's wrap it up.
All right.
We're doing pretty good. You got an official time on here. I think we're at like an hour 20, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe an hour 25.
Hour 27. 3 minutes left.
Hour 27.
Yeah.
It's flowed, I think, pretty well for the first episode.
Oh, definitely.
I think in our future plans, we plan to have a third every episode. I don't know about a constant third, but we definitely want to bring other people in here. Just to get a good discussion going. You know, variety is the spice of life, or some other corny shit. You know, you want to mix it up. Get gamers involved.
Oh yeah,
and,
definitely.
You know, we might also bring some people that are just not as big into gaming. You know, just some other perspective. Never hurts.
Yeah, I hear what my wife has to say about them darn video games that I be playing all the time.
Yep.
Or just anybody. I mean, definitely there can be women gamers and all. My wife's not one of them, but.
So yeah, if you somehow happen to come across this and you like what you hear, we're gonna post this on our YouTube channel and on iTunes. I think the best thing to do would be to send us a PM on YouTube and get up with us. And I mean, we're just breaking into this. Anybody's welcome. So, you know, if you've got a decent internet connection, you want to talk games, let us know.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm down to talk games anytime. Obviously, if I just spent 90 minutes talking with Dragon Master here, just shooting the shit, I'll do it with anybody.
Yep. So yeah, it's I think we're gonna go with a weekly format, trying this out. We're gonna try and record on Fridays, if I'm not mistaken.
Friday Eastern nights is when we'll record.
But more than likely, probably be posted on Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, give at least a day or two for
editing. Yeah. Depending on how much editing needs to be done.
Yeah, that sounds fair enough.
Yep. So how do you think this episode went?
I'm pretty good. I wasn't expecting the time to pass so quickly, and there wasn't any awkward pauses. No. It's just nice being able to talk games.
Yeah, and we had plans for our third tonight, but I dropped the ball on that one. I just had some stuff come up, but you know, it won't be an issue. I figured though, even for our first episode, it should be fine. I think we should just get it out there. And it went really well, really smooth. Very, I felt kind of natural.
Yeah.
You know, it felt like it was natural.
And our third, he is willing to reschedule. He'll be up with us Friday night, no problem whatsoever.
He'll be on episode 2, so
yeah,
we'll have this one up and he can go look at it. He'll know what to expect from episode 4, episode 2.
All right, so I think it's time to wrap this one up.
Yep, that was a good discussion, man.
Yeah, good talking with you.
Laying the groundwork here.
Yep. So, for Brometheus Gaming, this is Arbeyem.
And Dragonmaster X.
We'll see you next time.
Yep, good talking to you, bro.
Good talking to you.